Hey everybody, Kevin Shortell here once again with another episode for you of the Real Estate Without Renters podcast. Thank you as always for listening to the show. And if you like the show, please go ahead and click that like button. Also, if you want to see a video replay of all of this, go to my YouTube channel. Just look up my name, Kevin Shortell. Remember, that's Shortle. You'll find the channel right there. And not only do I have the podcast episodes, but I also have my tip of the day, Water Cooler Wednesday, a lot of content for you to dive into on that channel. And as always, if you like the videos on YouTube, please go ahead and like. It allows me to bring in great guests like I do have with me today. You know, I get the opportunity to have a lot of emails come my way about people who want to be on the podcast. And quite frankly, a lot of them aren't really a good fit for what I do, which is real estate. With the real estate notes, of course, is the area of expertise, you know. But I was really intrigued by the story of our guest today. And I think he's going to bring a lot of good insight into the real estate investment world, into the mindset, into a lot of the categories that we talk about on a regular basis through all of the various channels that I do. So I'm really happy to introduce you to Tim Bowman. Tim is a Billboard chart-topping musician, 18 number one singles, everybody, and he parlayed that into real estate investing because he was interested in building generational type of wealth. And I think that is so important today, especially with the advent. And one of the things I like to talk about with you, Tim, is getting into the mindset. So we'll do that. But welcome to the show, Tim.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it, Kev.
Yeah, you bet. You know, I'm intrigued by your story, not only being a very successful musician, but also realizing that, hey, you know what? You need to build some foundational wealth as well, and getting into real estate, which has been a passion of mine for a long time as well. And I think today so important where we have too many people getting sucked into the negativity and the social media and just the constant politics. And then you have the advent of AI coming in and just completely changing things. And it leaves people to be lost a little bit. And I think part of what I saw when I was reading in your background was the mindset of switching over from all this fear. And I think there can be a lot of fear built into today, and showing where you got to transition that into opportunity. So I thought that'd be a good place for us to start.
And you're correct. And I understand where that fear comes from. It's one thing to say, I'm going to buy a car. That's a car. There's another thing for your mind to be able to say, I'm going to buy a house. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
You think house, you think lifetime. I live, this is a big investment. But the thing that really made me train my mind or got my mind to the place I needed to be, I was traveling all over the world as a sideman at age 22. And I really didn't know the music business because I was playing at church.
Uh-huh.
I went straight from church. I never played in clubs. Straight from church to traveling the world with the biggest gospel group in the world at the time. So that was just something, I didn't know the music business. All I knew, I had spent all these years trying to become an elite musician. And I just finished conservatory. And I was traveling around the world. And I'm thinking, not understanding the music business, we're getting ready to be rich. We're going to be financially set. And the music business doesn't work like that. I was a sideman.
Yeah.
And so this went on for a couple of years. And I'm starting to realize, okay, I'm out here traveling around the world. I'm newly married and I'm not making any money. So these pain points are starting to show up. We want to start a family, but I can't. My father raised us. If you're going to have a family, you got to be able to support them. So we're in the 4 or 5 years. And by me being in the position I was the music director for the group. So I was always in the music industry with the executives in the industry. They were always talking about their real estate, whether they was buying and selling or buying and holding. These were executives in the music business, and they couldn't even whistle, didn't know anything about music, but they were
Hmm.
businessmen. And I'm in these meetings, and I'm just listening to them talk, and it was always about real estate. So I started to think, okay, I'm out here struggling. I need to have some passive income because I'm still playing, but I need something to be making money, doing, have something making money for me that I'm not doing, passive income.
Hmm.
And it clicked. And then I got to a point where, I'm burnt out. It had been 7 years on the road. And then that's when I left and went back home before I started my own record career. And a guy told me, he was a real estate agent. He said, you know what? He was an insurance agent. He said, but on the side, I have passive income. I, I, um, I buy property and rental property for passive income, and I'll show you what to do. I didn't know anything about it. I had heard about it from the music guys, and he showed me how to get my first property with a seller financing.
Gotcha.
$1,000 down, and that started everything.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Everybody that I've talked to that's done real estate at a high level, it started with that one-on-one with somebody,
Yeah.
somebody to show you the way. I never hear the story, hey, I just read the book, and I went out there and did it.
No,
Or, back in my day, I listened to the cassette tapes, and that did it. It's like, no, it's one of those things. If you want to accelerate your results, you really have to think in terms of the true definition of the mentorship, and that can go across trades, it can go across music, you want somebody there in lessons. I mean, yeah, you can kind of self-teach yourself in music and practice, but to really refine it, you probably had somebody there as well. Just no, let me
I
show you how
did.
that does, and listen to
Yeah.
that chord, and do it this way. Think about that, and that in every trade that you do, in every sport that you do. So why wouldn't it make sense to do that in real estate? That's just really how life works.
That's how life works. Is somebody has went down the road before you, and they're turning around, look and say, "Well, don't go right there, don't go left here, to keep you out of the ditch. Stay centered." And the same thing with music. It's one thing to be a musician, but it's another thing to be a professional.
Mm-hmm.
The professional is the whole package. You come
Mm-hmm.
prepared, you're at the airport, you do the gig, you go home and know the music. That's what somebody else has to show you. Same thing with real estate. The guy, when he mentioned to me about getting passive income, I said, I don't have any money and I don't know anything about it. I've heard
Yeah.
people talk about it. He said, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And from the
I can
day
buy
he
real
told me
estate with
that,
no money, right?
yeah, really, he said, I don't have any money. I'm broke.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he said, I tell you, I'm gonna introduce you to my real estate agent, and you don't need any money. And he said, I want you to meet her next Wednesday at this address. We met in front of a two-family unit. She told me what the deal was. She explained seller financing. Back then, she called it land contract.
Right.
3 weeks from that day, I was cash flowing with
Yeah.
$1,000 down. He
Yeah.
just grabbed me by the hand and took me. And
Yeah.
3 months later, he said, how's this going? I said, it's going well. He said, there's a fourth family that's available. You can get on the same terms for $1,000 down. And in less than 6 months, I had six doors. Six
Wow.
doors we had. And we were cash flowing.
Wow.
That's how I got into it. And then I fell in love with it.
Yeah, what a gift they gave you, for that. That's amazing. As a side note, so I've done a lot of real estate, traditional real estate as well, but my specialty has been real estate notes.
Hmm.
So I don't buy the property itself, I buy the debt on the property.
Okay.
Okay. So for example, when you did seller financing, and let's say Mrs. Smith was carrying back the paper, right? So you owe
Right.
Mrs. Smith and all that.
Right.
I would
Exactly.
contact Mrs. Smith and say, I'll buy that debt for cash. I'll give you a lump sum. And now Tim makes the payments to me.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
so that's the
That's
tie-in of, of,
good.
of
That's
what I
good.
do. So that's why my book there is real estate without renters. So I get the cash flow like a landlord, but I don't own the property. So don't call me about the toilets and the roof and the this and that.
Right. Yeah.
I'm the bank,
Okay.
and we used to buy and I explained this in my classes as well. We used to buy lottery winnings. We used to buy casino winnings. We could buy actor and actress contracts. We could buy music royalties, and that's
Wow.
still a popular business today. And just as a point of interest, I used to tell the story about David Bowie, of course, the famous musician. David Bowie was the first one who took his collection, right? So after he had many, many, many albums and royalties coming in, he said, I'm going to sell these royalties that I'm going to get for the next 10 years for a lump sum today.
He was the first one to do that,
He was
right?
the first one to do it, and they called them Bowie bonds, and you could actually trade them on Wall Street. So instead of him getting royalties for the next 10 years, he got lump sum, and the investors got all the royalties. So they bought that income receivables. And in fact, in his case, he also promised the next two album royalties as a part of the package. Now, those were albums that he hadn't even conceived of yet, hasn't done yet. But you'll notice before he died, he did what? He cranked out two more albums.
Two more. Yeah. Yeah.
And all of those royalties go to the investors. he got the whole lump sum before. And that's why you see big musicians today like Bruce Springsteen and Dylan, they're all selling their whole collection. That's based off
Tens
of
of
stuff.
millions of dollars. It's a booming
Yeah,
business.
yeah,
I've
big
had
business.
I've had several calls trying to buy my collection, my
Yeah,
catalog. Yeah.
yeah,
And it's a
yeah.
booming business. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do the same thing, but relate it to real estate. So that's why real estate, we're on the same, opposite sides of the same coin. So you're working with people to create paper, and then I try to find the people who have the paper and say, hey, would you rather have lump sum today or
Right.
collect those monthly payments? So
And
it's
we're
a
both
it's
in
an
the real
interesting.
estate business.
Exactly, exactly. So, but it all works together because I
Mhm.
think understanding that side, your side of the business, because I was on that side as well, and understanding my side. Once again, you mentioned the word if you want to be a professional musician, you have to know all of these skills. And I think it's important for investors to understand the paper side, if you will, the finance side of the
Yes,
business,
it is. Yes.
as well as the brick and mortar side, that
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
doing.
You
So,
have to understand the financial side because you're in the business to make money.
mhm.
And you have to understand that side. All that comes with the location, who you're renting to, how you renovate it. All of these things are part of it's just not about, hey, I can purchase this house over on the east side of Detroit. No. What can you do with that house after you
Yeah,
have it? Can you make any money with it? Can you
yeah,
flip it? Can you
yeah,
get the renters that you want in that area? It
yeah,
depends on all that comes back to the I do the financial analysis long before I even talk about purchasing
sure.
the property because it has to make sense. If I'm flipping, I need to know. I'm talking to my real estate agent. How long will it take me to move this house? Is this a house? Is this a hot area? And what I've been able to do when I'm flipping, I do all the due diligence. What are the rents like? What can I get it for? What is the profit margin? And the main thing for me is, can I sell this house within a week?
Hmm.
Is the area hot? If the area is not hot, I can wind up being stuck with it.
Hmm.
And that's not what you want to do because I look at trying to buy, renovate, and sell in 60 days, long term 90. But
Yeah,
if you do the due diligence, know you're getting in a hot area, and you renovate it right without blowing all your money in the renovation,
right.
you can put that thing on the market and have it sold in 2 or 3 days and move on to the next one.
Right. Yeah. The way, and I think we're talking the same language here, is I always explain that as, again, to master this, you have to understand the numbers, but also the story.
Yeah,
And both of those things have to make sense. If you just understand the numbers and not the story, you're missing half the picture. If you just
yep,
understand the story and don't know how to run your numbers, well, that's not going to work either. So you've got to have both, and that's where probably your harmonies of wealth come in, right? That's the name of your new
yeah.
program, Harmonies of Wealth, because it's putting it all together. So you were blessed with having this person, say, hey, let me take you, let me lead you the way. But at that point in time, as you started to expand, you had to build a team, right? Because this is a team
Yes.
sport.
Yeah. The team in my when I'm teaching and in my course, my master class, I talk about one of the main things I talk about is having a team. You have to have a team around you because if you don't, you can just wander off into different areas that don't show up immediately, but it will show up whether you're being a landlord for renters or you're going to flip. If you don't have a team around you of good contractors that you can trust, that's honest, because now you purchased the property, this is what you got for renovation, and this is your profit. If you have the wrong contractors and don't know what you're doing, your profits are just being eaten up. So you have to have
And your time. Yeah.
your
Yeah.
time and your profits are gone. Then you have to have a real estate agent on your team who knows investment property, how to sell it. If she has a list or he has a list of investors that's willing to buy or people that's willing to buy properties from you. And you need I have an organization of hard money lenders who understand how to make the deals happen. That's amicable for both sides of the coin. But the team is most important when you start talking about real estate investing.
Mhm. What advice do you have on building a team? Because part of that is, that's your database. That's your Rolodex. Probably a dated word these days, but you know what I'm talking about, though.
Right, right, right.
uh, your database is key, and that's what makes everything click. I mean, when I was doing rehabs, we probably had 10 rehabs going on at a time. And we needed a team, and I had to kind of section them out to go, well, you guys are good for the beginning stuff. You guys are in the intermediate, but I need a finisher because you guys, intermediate
Yep.
guys, are looking at the
Yep.
next job. I can't sell a house when it's not polished,
Yeah.
So I had to kind of recognize what the skill set was and build the teams out that way. How long did it take to put together a team?
It,
How did you go about it?
I've purchased and rehabbed over 50 houses. It took me about four houses before I understood that these guys are not the finishing guys.
Ah, gotcha.
Because I had these
Yeah,
guys trying to finish and
yeah.
it wasn't finished.
Ah, okay. So you went through that too. Okay.
I had guys who can go in and clean it up, get it all ready. I had the
Yeah,
guys who can go and do the plumbing, carpentry, and all of that. I
yeah,
had the guys who can come and do the finished carpentry,
yeah,
painters, and then the guys, I had all the landscapers. I had to
yeah.
section up. One group cannot do it all. And it took me a minute to learn that. I'm sitting
Yeah,
there talking about frustrating, like, oh
yeah,
no, I can't. What are we doing?
yeah,
It took me about four houses before I understood I had to have teams, just like you just said.
yeah,
Guys go and clean the property up, get it all ready to bring the next group of people in. They do what they need to do as far as the plumbing and the electrical, put it all in. Then we come in with the drywall and the painting guys. Then we come with the finished carpentry, the whole shop.
yeah,
Then we give it to the real estate agent and the financial people, and we're gone. But it
yeah,
took a minute because if you don't have that organization or that in place, you're going to spend money and time and, because you're going to have to redo a lot of things. You don't
yeah.
want to do that.
And that's where I think I mean, everybody gets that concept of real estate because everybody's been a landlord or a tenant at some point in time, right? So everybody understands the buying the house and that sort of thing. So a lot of people are attracted to investing in real estate. And they learn, like, if you don't have your systems in place and everything, it's a rocky road, and too many people get into deals. And I try to explain to people, look, you're going to learn this business one way or another. You can go through trial and error, or you can work with an expert and somebody to guide you through the process and learn that way. Either way, you're going to learn. One's going to be painful in time and money, and the other one is going to be less painful and a lot less money. But you might have to front some cost, and get a little education and maybe have to cut some people in on a deal. But it's an easier road than just trying to do it yourself because trial and error can
It's
ruin people.
painful. It's
Ruin people.
painful.
You can get in one deal and now you'll never do real estate again because you lost everything, and it just doesn't make sense to me. But a lot of people, I think, get this idea that, well, what's so hard? You buy the house, you fix it up, and you sell it. Well,
No, no,
those are the bullet points.
no. And most people that come to me, I wouldn't say most people, but a lot of people that come to me now, we tried it and we did this, and I sit down and talk to them. And about 5 minutes, I can name off three things. You did this wrong, you did this wrong, and you did this wrong. And you say you still got another 20 minutes of things you want to talk about.
Yeah,
And this is just 5 minutes in the conversation. That's what happened. And then they give up. They give up.
yeah,
Like you said, you need to front some cost up front to learn how to do it. Because if you don't front that cost, it's going to cost you tons of money, time, and frustration.
yeah,
And then, the dream that you have of being into real estate is gone because now
yeah,
you're really scared. You're never going to get back into it.
yeah. Every
And I
business
learned
has
that
a
the hard
startup
way.
cost.
Mhm. Yeah, it's
Yeah, every
always,
business. Yeah,
yeah. If you go out, you just get somebody like this guy. He took me by the hand. Do this, 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 and don't do that. Now, he did tell me what to do and to a certain extent. On the other part, I learned on my own.
yeah,
Like I told you about the 4 or 5 houses, I had to learn before
yeah,
systems. I had to learn about location, about what type of houses to buy that people really look to. Like I only buy in nice neighborhoods that I would live in, and I only buy 3 bedrooms. Unless it's a great deal, that's on a 2 bedroom, but 3 bedrooms because you got a mother and a father and two
hmm,
children. That's the average family size, right?
sure.
It's getting a little bigger now because my son has 4 kids and want another one.
Wow.
But so what kind of houses to buy that you can move and you can rent? 3 bedrooms, make it as nice and through renovations, really polished that you would live there because you want to draw the people like yourself who's responsible.
Yeah, so you add your skill sets and your experiences onto what you learn from other people, and that makes sense, to do. I always like the little, the little things in the business that you learn and kind of stack away that end up being, kind of bigger things, lessons in life. For example, I don't know, you said something that kind of triggered this thought of, gosh, I remember I learned the lesson with inspectors. I had my houses like ready to go. And what I learned was inspectors like to let you know that they're a part of this. And if you have a house that's done perfectly, they have a tendency to stay there longer just to try to find something to go, come here, boy, let me show you. Here's what you missed, son, that sort of thing. So I got smart. I said, you know what? I'm going to leave 5 easy things that I can fix real quick that the inspector could go, come here. This, you got that threshold under the door. You got to fix that. You got to tear in the screen over here. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, and then they're gone. I'm like, beautiful guys, wrap it up. We already knew that stuff had to be done.
Yeah.
It was just like leave them a little something so we can move through this process here, because it's a part of it. So there are definitely little things that you pick up along the way and kind of add those into the old memory bank and get to utilize, different.
I've had those issues too with inspectors. This one city in in the county that I was investing in, they were notorious about what you just said.
Mhm.
You knew this, so you go in and you just go over it with a fine tooth comb, and you just looking for everything. You're looking at the light switch cover, just making sure it's you got this level, it's all level.
Yeah, you measure it from the wall. Is it the proper height? Yeah.
You're
Oh, yeah.
doing this
Yeah.
at the tape, making
Yeah.
sure. They'll come in and see a little speck on the wall and say, redo that whole wall. I'm like, to the point, I don't even invest in that city anymore.
Yeah.
I just, that's it. I
Yeah.
mean, just a little speck. We went over this place with a fine tooth
Yeah.
comb. It's ready for the president to live it here.
Yeah.
And no, just a spot on the wall about this big. And do the whole wall back and come back and fill out the papers. We'll come back and come pay again, and we'll come back out next week.
Yeah. And whether you're on the paper side like I am or the brick and mortar side that you are, there's all these nuances. We
Yeah.
we go through right now. One of the big things is recording documents, right? So
Mhm.
again, I don't own the property, but I have to file paperwork that needs to be recorded. And most counties you can record online these
Mhm.
days, but not all of them. And the ones that you have to mail them to, we just had to do a couple mailaways. Wayne County in Detroit is tough. We were doing a deal in Mahoning County, and I tell people this all the time, and they don't believe me until they do it because you're right. And I want to circle back to this because part of what you learn in the business is you have to do something. You can't just learn in theory. It's part of this business is learning as you go through.
Right, exactly.
But so we have to do a mail in and you try to get it right, perfect the first time. You send it in, and what they do is they go down the document. If they find a mistake, they stop right there. They send it back to you. So you're wasting 3-4 days to get it back in the mail, and they go, you got to fix this. Then you fix this. You send it back. They go that, and then they go, oh, down here, there's another mistake. They don't go
Wow.
through and scan the whole thing and go, there's 4 mistakes you got to fix. They go, here's one, send it back. Here's another one, send it back. It drives you absolutely nuts. It's like you guys are wasting your time and your money, my time and my money. Why can't we
Exactly.
just do this? But that's what it is.
Yeah.
So you have to learn to take a more conscious effort. So again, same thing on the real estate side of just going, all right, this is how the system works. I'm not going to beat Wayne County. So I've got to figure out with Wayne County, when I have somebody prepping a dock, it's like, it's got to meet this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going through this back and forth nonsense that drives me up.
And all of my properties are in Wayne County.
Oh, are they really?
All of all of them
Yeah.
are in Wayne County. So
Yeah. Well, you can drive in there. See, I got to mail it off, and it's just like, oh man.
I can go
Um,
right down to the county, treasurer,
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's I have done very well in Wayne County,
Yeah. Good.
in the
Well,
Detroit
we
area.
do too. I mean, that's the only thing I have with Wayne County is just like, oh God, I got to make sure. We just closed on one in Wayne County yesterday on Braille Street.
I,
Something on
I
Braille.
used to
Yeah.
have one, two, three houses on Braille.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
So we just bought the debt on this one on Braille Street. Let's see. I got it here somewhere. Yeah, I got it on PowerPoint,
It's
but
a
yeah,
small
either
world,
way.
isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I mean. We're kind of in that same thing. And hey, if you're creating paper, somebody else is creating the paper for you to buy these deals, let me know who they are. We'll see if they want to cash out. We can do
Right,
some
right,
business together.
exactly.
That's how the networking begins. But circling back to what I was saying, let's see, the active participation, because there are certain things that you can't teach. Uh, I've been teaching this for 30 something years, my specialty. And I tell people all the time, as good as my curriculum is, as good as my online programs are, my videos and everything else, I can't teach you 100% because part of it is you have to go through a deal and experience some of these things,
Yes, yes.
and that's important. So sometimes you got to get off of your training wheels and just say, okay, I've learned it, I feel prepared, and let me start to take action on there. And again, it's easier if you have somebody there, but what's your advice to people on that? When do they start to say, hey, let's pull the trigger? Part of it is we got to minimize risk.
Right. Now, see, now how I minimize risk, and that is the crux of my whole master class, is real estate investing with minimal risk. And the way I do it is we only buy distressed properties. And that can minimize, and the way that I explain them to them how to minimize risk with that is if the house next door is $100,000, we'll just keep it simple, $100,000. You want this one for 55, 60, right? Before you buy it, you're going to do your due diligence. Like I said earlier, you're going to talk to the real estate agent. Can we sell in this area? Yes, this is a hot area. You're going to ask three questions. What is the neighborhood like? What is the block like? And what I live there. If all of those come back yes, you take to the next step. Okay, you call a real estate agent. What are they selling for? 100,000. What can I get this one for? Say 50,000. We'll just say that. And then you want to see how much you need to put into it. So we need to put 20 in it. So there's still 30,000. Worst case scenario, somebody will buy that house for you from you with that much equity in it and for 60, $70,000 as is. So
Mhm.
you walk out even. You see what I'm saying? But if
Sure.
you start buying properties that need a lot of work at market value, you teetering. So
Yeah.
that eliminates the fear knowing that if worst case scenario, I can get out of this thing with a very small loss. And if I do what I need to do and follow the plan, I can make a lot of money. But you have to follow the steps. Can I sell it? Is it a three-bedroom? Where is it at? Can I get a good? This is for flipping here now.
Hmm.
And you put all these things in place, and that minimizes the risk right off of the rip. So we buy distressed properties, and we go and take a look. We're not going in there to try to put $50,000 in a house and walk out of it with just $95,000 profit. No, you see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You want to keep yourself in a position that if you decide you don't want to do it, you can turn around and sell it to another investor and walk out solid. So
Right.
that by minimizing the risk like that and being able to explain it to them, that minimizes the fear of me losing all of my money because that people have this big thing. It's a house and I can lose everything because it's not a car, it's a house.
Right.
And if you do it right, you don't have that much that much space to lose. You
Mhm.
minimize the risk if you do it like I say.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. To draw a parallel on the note side of things, I do the same thing and teach it from that standpoint. The first thing we look is risk. We hope for best case scenario, we
Yes,
prepare for worst case scenario.
right.
And at the end of the day, especially if you're buying broken assets, I'll use that term. So you're buying a broken home basically. So you got to figure out what's it going to cost me in time and money to fix it up, and,
Yeah,
and what it'll be at the end of the day. What's my profit margin? Simple. In the note space, we have calibers of notes as well. We can buy performing notes that have a lengthy payment history and the person's making payments on time, or we can buy non-performing notes where a person's not making the payment. Well, that's a broken note. Same thing. So we look at that note, it's like, all right, what's the problem? What might it cost me in time and money to fix it up? How can I then enhance the value of that note if I get it reperforming? Some very, very similar parallels on that. But it comes down to, yes, identifying risk. Because at the end of the day, for us, the property is not ours, but it's our collateral.
Right,
For you, the
exactly.
property is yours. So you have an equity interest in it. I have a interest in the property. That's my collateral. You have the equitable interest in that property. So it's the same thing. It's what's that property worth? So both of us are concerned about that. And then we wage how much we're willing to put into that versus what the property ultimately is worth. So for me, for example, when I look at, I'll use your same numbers. You got $100,000 house, and somebody put $10,000 down, and they created a $90,000 note. Okay, they might have written that note for, let's say, 10% interest. What would I pay for that note? I'll tell you right, not 90 grand, because what I'm getting is payments over time, maybe over 30 years, maybe over 20
Exactly.
years, so I'm trading future value, present value sort of thing. But I'll tell you right now, on a risk scale, the most I pay for that note, even if they wrote it at 12%, most I pay is 70 grand. Why? Because my first thought is, what's worst case scenario? They don't pay. And if they don't pay, I don't want to be in that property for any more than 70 grand. Why? Because I leave myself that margin. Right.
Same
So if it's
thing.
worth a
Same
hundred
thing.
grand, I'm in it
Yep.
for 70 and they stop paying me and I take that back through deed in lieu or foreclosure, I got room.
Yep.
I'm still gonna be okay. I'm gonna make some money on that deal. So that's one of the first thing that we look at, we just call it investment to value ratio. But on the same side with yours is after repaired value and all those numbers.
How
So
much room
there's
is it?
some, yeah.
How much room? That's the whole thing. And I teach, you start getting real shaky if you start talking about anything less than $25,000
Hmm.
because you're starting to teeter. You never know what can happen in inspection. They come in and say, "Well, you know what? We need you to do this, and that repair that the inspector wants is 15,000
Yeah, you got
or
to
it's
rewire
20."
the whole house. Now you're like,
Yeah,
oh, wasn't counting
yeah,
on that.
yeah.
You got to
And this
replumb
kind
the
of
whole.
stuff
Yeah,
has
yeah,
happened.
yeah,
So that's what we look at. And the main thing is have all of this stuff before you even spend one dime.
yeah,
Don't buy the house and then start evaluating, doing your market analysis and evaluations. You don't want to do that.
yeah.
And that's the way we've been successful now. The reason I can say that with such confidence is because I have done it the wrong way
Hmm.
when I first started, before
Yeah,
like I told you, I had the rentals through seller financing, but then I got into flipping and didn't really understand that all the things we just got through talking about, location and having leaving room, I didn't know that. And I think the first flip, I think I made $4,000. This is like 30 years ago. $4,000 on the flip after all that work. I'm like, okay, that didn't work out. But I learned, and I
yeah,
learned how to renovate, especially if I'm flipping. I'm not going to put $15,000 cabinets in the house I'm selling next week.
yeah.
I've seen people do that. I've gotten phone calls where people call and say, Tim, can you come look at this piece of property? These guys started renovating and they ran out of money. You go over there, you see just stacks of drywall, these fine oak cabinets on the walls, this gold chandelier. I'm like, man, y'all need to go to Home Depot. What are you doing?
Yeah, yeah.
You
Over
don't you
repair.
get you flipping the property.
Yeah,
If they want oak cabinets, they can put oak cabinets in there.
right.
If they want a gold chandelier, they can put a gold chandelier in there.
Yeah,
You put it in the house, you're going to pass inspection, you're going to bring the house up to code. It's going to look like $1 million, but you got to always remember the numbers. The
yeah,
numbers have to make sense when you walk out of there.
yeah. We used to drop ship all our stuff from Home Depot. I didn't want those guys going back and forth to Home Depot at all because they get lost, right? All your
Oh
rehab
my
guys,
God.
they
Oh my
they
God.
go they come back with a bag of screws 2 hours later. You're like, what? You
What
know.
happened? You left here 2 hours ago.
So we drop shipped everything. You guys don't have to go anywhere. It's coming right here, baby. And when we had those crews like that, it made sense for us to go, look, every light fixture is the same, every ceiling fan, same, doorknob, same. They didn't have to think anymore. It was all muscle memory at that point in time. It was
Yep.
just easy, easy, easy. Same color paint. This is our interior paint, that's our exterior paint. That's it. Every house we do. You could drive through these neighborhoods and see the same thing. And that's where you get to control your costs more. You get to cut down on labor time because again, they're not reading through a manual on some newfangled ceiling fan that you got. It's like, no, it's the same one you put in, 30 other times, just
Man,
crank
Tawny
it out,
Birch,
get it
the
done.
color paint in every house,
Yeah,
satin Tawny Birch with white
yeah.
semi-gloss trim. Every
There you
house.
go. Yeah,
Same
there you
color.
go. Yeah, there you go. And I'll tell you, you said something else there, which I've told people all the time. I said, look, every deal you do pays you in money and knowledge.
Yep.
And when somebody's starting out, I don't know which is best, to be honest with you. That $4,000 that you made may have been $4,000 made knowledge here. You know,
Yes, it
I've
was.
seen some people get all of this this money and no knowledge on one deal, and the problem becomes they go, "Pff, this is easy. I bought this thing, flipped it, made 20 grand. It was a piece of cake." And they start to think they all go that way because they made all the money, but none of the knowledge, you
Yeah.
know. So I don't know. I like to see that
No,
scale a little bit in
that
the beginning where you're like, yeah, you made a little less money, but man, did you learn, you know?
I I would take I learned any day.
Yeah,
Then oh, I made and didn't learn anything because that lack of knowledge is going to blow up on you
yeah,
at some point.
yeah.
It's going to blow up on you.
Oh yeah. If you
So
think,
but when you learn, you know how to put the systems in place. And
yeah,
it's just cookie cutter. It's
yeah,
cookie cutter.
yeah.
Once you
So
learn the experience.
what's working in your area? Rental properties, rehabs. You mentioned doing flips. Is that kind of your concentration now?
I've done both, but I started out like I said with the rentals because I
Hmm.
as a musician I needed that passive income. So
Hmm.
I had a lot of rentals. Then I kind of got into flipping. So I always had like a 2 to 1. We'll say after I had like 10, 15 rentals, I started doing 2 to 1 rentals, flip, rentals, flip. Flipping to me is a way to put, you know how that works. You can put
Yeah,
a
just
big lump
generate.
sum of
Yeah.
cash in your hand, but you got
Hmm.
to go out and hit that deal again. You got to keep
Hmm.
hitting it.
Right.
As opposed to rentals, that's just that passive income
Yeah.
coming in. And I
Yeah.
learned from rentals, you have to rehab that house and bring it up to a point where it is so nice that you can start renting to people who are responsible. You don't want to be a slumlord because it's not passive anymore.
Yeah.
You're chasing people for your rent, and it's always something going wrong. But if you do it right, get the right house in the right location, it becomes passive. And with nowadays, I just some houses I forgot I even had until my Cash App go off. Because I'm over here in the music business,
Right.
and it wasn't like that in the beginning. But over this last 30 years, after I figured it out, I would say like the last 27, 28 years, it has been straight passive. And then when
Right.
I had some time if I went on tour, I'll go out and flip a house just because I love to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just love the renovation. I love putting houses back together. I even
Yeah.
like going in sometime and doing some of the work myself because it just slows everything down.
Ground
It's
you a little bit.
therapeutic for
Yeah.
me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but I started now. The main thing I've got the master class for everybody. But what it did for me in my music career, I started out trying to show other musicians. I say, man, you have to have something else coming in. And now with AI is just running through the music business like it's nothing right now.
Mm.
You need to have something else coming in. You have to have something coming in, something tangible.
Yeah.
Some form of real estate, like what you're talking about, is great. I love that.
Yeah.
Or having some kind of money coming in where it doesn't affect your touring schedule or your work schedule if you have a 9 to 5. But AI is just, I'm constantly staying on top of the music business now into the other parts of the economy. AI is just running through, and I tell everybody, get something.
Yeah.
And real estate is something everybody needs.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a roof over their head.
I agree. I want to talk about that a little bit more. By the way, I've been talking with Tim Bowman. You can go to Tim Bowman, BOWMAN.com. Check out his website there. He's got some nice videos up there for you. It talks about his program, Harmonies in real estate. No, Harmonies, I'm sorry, in wealth building, right? Did I
Hmm.
get that right? Harmonies in wealth
Hmm.
building, and check that out. And you're also working with your wife, Wanda.
Yes. She writes financial books,
Great.
and she's very good at it. She writes these paperback books, and they're
Tell by the
very.
smile on your face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And what's funny when we first started, the guy came to me and said, you need to get some passive income. So I mentioned to Juan, we were young then, in our late 20s. And I was saying, I think we ought to try to get this piece of property. Henry said his name was Henry Chapman. Henry said, it'll be good in passive income. And we were skeptical. She was like, I don't know. I don't know. You know how that goes.
Sure.
And she said, okay, let's give it a try. We only need $1,000 down. So we did it. And when that first check came in, she was like, we need to do this again.
Yeah.
She was hooked. She was
Yeah.
hooked, man. Cam, she was hooked.
Nice.
And it's just been a wonderful ride. And I just thoroughly enjoy doing it. And I love teaching it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been lucky in that area too. My wife and I'll be married 35 years coming up in April, and same thing when we first started with the rehab properties, and we did some rentals, and we did some money lending, and then I eventually came back to the note business. You know, she's been there the whole time, and we work together once again now in the note space, and because we partner with people and buy deals together with my clients. So like you, I do coaching, personal consulting, but I also partner with my elite members. So we manage all the notes, find them, get them recorded, all that sort of stuff. So she's an integral part of that, and so I
That's
think that,
important. That's
yeah,
very
I was gonna
important.
say I think that's important, and it's great when it works like that. AI, coming back to that, I agree with you. There's definitely going to be people who just their jobs are no longer really necessary. It's unfortunate, but it's progress and it's coming, and people really need to recognize that. So I've embraced it. I'm using AI more and more in my business to create contracts, to look up laws, so they can explain it in English to us,
Mhm.
to analyze spreadsheets and documents and things like that. So for me, I'm finding that it is very useful. I have it open at all times when I'm working now,
Same
and
here.
I'm kind of training it up a little bit as to what I do and what I look at, and it's tremendous what it can do. It's just beyond belief. I mean, when you look at something and go, this thing already knows all the answers to any question that you could possibly have. It's got a PhD degree in every subject. You just got to know how to talk to it.
Exactly.
Because bad
Exactly.
info in, bad info out.
Yes, exactly.
So you've got to learn how to prompt it and everything properly. Are you using it a lot in your analysis, or just
Over this
getting started?
last year, like you said, at first, I would hear a lot about it. I don't know anything about this, but now I don't do anything without it. It's open right there. And what I do and I teach my students is to how to prompt it to look for, say for instance, I'll give you an area code or zip code
Yeah,
in Wayne County, 48228. We'll just say that.
yeah,
You can prompt it to look for every two-family flat or every four-family or any distressed properties in this zip code. I teach them how to write these prompts
yeah,
and give me the list, program the list to come to my phone every Monday or every Monday and Wednesday. And then once it spit out this long list, it's just mind-boggling because this is stuff we would have to just get in the car and go and
yeah,
look.
yeah,
You have to go you all around the city looking.
yeah.
The list would come, you would look at the list, then you go on. I would tell them how to go look at the list, go on Zillow, how to do bird's eye view and all these things. Then you do your evaluations. After you got down to like 4 or 5 properties that looks good, you did the bird's eye view on Zillow to make sure the neighborhood is good and everything. Then you go look. Then you go from there. You get to the real estate agent because you want to get in and take a look. But you've just knocked off days of riding around the city trying to find these properties because AI just gave them to you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
No,
it just gave
100%.
you a list of everybody that's possibly in tax trouble with the county, everybody that's about to be foreclosed, everybody that is foreclosed, and it just gives you everything you need to do.
Yeah.
And it just takes up days and days of time.
Yeah. It's incredible. I was in our industry in the note space. I was the first guy on the AI train, and I did a live presentation. I don't know, some event I was speaking at, and I just showed it. Let me show you everybody. And everybody's just like, what? Because they'd never seen it before. And I said,
Yeah.
watch how quick this does this. We're going to analyze the demographics in this neighborhood. Here's
Yep.
everything about this neighborhood we ever need to know in seconds. And I say, well, it's a land contract in that area. So does does Michigan have a land contract law? Yes, it does. Here's what you do. Here's what you need to record. It's just like, wow, it's a game changer. But again, I don't think somebody can start flipping the business just by going to
Oh,
AI. That's the
no,
problem. I think that
no.
some people are going to overreach a little bit and go, well, I don't need help from, so I can just go into AI. It's like, no, because you've got to prompt the AI. The AI has the answers, but you've got to ask the right questions,
Because if you
and
don't know what
that takes
questions to
some
ask,
expertise.
yeah. If I was giving anybody any advice, the number one thing I would do is don't try to do this by yourself
Hmm.
in the beginning.
Hmm.
Get one deal under your feet or under your,
Yeah.
in the bag so you understand what's going on because you are going to make mistakes. There's a
Hmm.
lot of things out there that you just don't know. We're talking about the things that you need to know, but there's a whole nother room of things that you don't know until you do it. So
Hmm.
you need to have somebody to take you by the hand, whatever aspect of real estate investing you're in or what lane you're in. You need to have some coaching. You do because it is a big undertaking, and if you don't, you can really mess up. And then, your whole dreams of being a real estate investor are over because now
Yeah.
you're fearful. You don't want to do it again.
Yeah. And I think I know the answer to this, but do you really believe anybody can do this?
I do, yeah. But let me go back. If you get your mind right, if you get your mind, put the blinders on, because some people, what's the old saying? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him
Can't
drink
make it
it.
drink. Yeah. Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Some people just won't drink the water.
Yeah.
But if your mind is right and you're ready, you can do it. I don't want to say everybody, but anybody who has the right mindset can do it. I should say that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen people in my experience in teaching real estate and real estate notes for over 30 years. Um, People of all walks of life, all different backgrounds, but again, the drive has to be there. The motivation has to be there, and there's something about it's work. So yeah, come in going, I'm going to make this work, and I'm going to do it the right way. I've I learned early on, thankfully, another good lesson in speaking. I remember to this day, Carol out of Texas. I almost talked her out of getting involved because I just didn't think she could do it. And that was me putting that on her because she was widowed. She never handled money before. Her husband did all of that. She never, real estate, no idea, let alone real estate notes, and I was like, boy, Carol, I said, and she's very shy. And I said, Carol, so at the end of the day, it's still kind of a people business. I said, if you're going to do this, you got to break out of your shell a little bit. You got to get a little uncomfortable. You're going to do things that you're not used to doing. I mean, you're going into something else, and I really felt myself kind of going, I don't know if I want her to get involved. Thank goodness I didn't do that because she took off and to this day stands out to be one of my greatest testimonials because a year later you had a person who was dressed impeccably, standing tall, got her children who graduated college into the business. She's doing business nationwide and just took this thing and ran with it. So
Wow.
part of that is drive, motivation, and yeah, having somebody that's going to be there to guide you through that process. I think it's just the smart way to go in whatever endeavors you're doing. So I hope that motivates some people who are listening to the show. Tim, it's been a pleasure.
Man, I have thoroughly enjoyed this
The
conversation.
time goes by fast, right? I mean, we've
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
been talking for an hour here. It
It's
goes
been an
goes by
hour?
almost, yeah, coming up on it. But it was a lot of fun and learned some things. And I think we passed on some good information to everybody. So again, Tim Bowman, go to Tim Bowman BOWMAN.com. Check out his Harmonies of Wealth Building on there. He's got a nice, easy to read website, that sort of thing. Some videos on there, so he explains it, lays it out pretty darn well for you, and just an interesting story and a great person. I'm glad I got the chance to meet you, Tim.
Man, Kevin, I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm going to get your book. I
Awesome.
that is a part of real estate I didn't know anything about, and
Yeah, you want that passive income without the tenant stuff, man. I'm your guy. I'm your
yeah,
guy.
that's
So yeah,
good.
you can
That's
get the
good.
book
Yeah,
he's talking about is Real Estate Without Renters. You can get that on Amazon, number one bestseller there, and yeah, it's a good way to get an introductory towards it. And of course, for me, just go to kevinshortell.com, Kevin, last name Shortle.com. Check out my website if you got notes you're looking to sell. We buy notes direct on there. If you are interested in anything from education programs, personal mentorship, also partnering programs. All of that's laid out on the website as well. And I've got a special right now with the whole video series. It's a 4-part, 1 hour video series, excellent series. Only 49 bucks, maybe 39. You'll have to check it out on the website, kevinshortell.com. So on behalf of Tim Bowen and myself, thanks for everybody for tuning in. Tim, been a pleasure. Look forward to talking
Thank you, Kev.
on a
Appreciate
follow
it.
up with you. You bet.
Mm.